In a galaxy filled with diverse civilizations, the perception of humanity had long been one of skepticism and dismissal. Various alien species, some with centuries of advanced warfare experience, viewed humans as a young and reckless race, lacking the discipline and tactical finesse necessary for successful military engagements. This perception was shaped by a series of historical encounters, each reinforcing the idea that humans were simply awful at war. Alien leaders frequently gathered to discuss the interstellar conflicts that threatened their territories. Around the council table, various representatives shared anecdotes of past human blunders, instances where tactical misjudgments led to catastrophic failures. One leader recounted a skirmish where a human fleet mistakenly engaged its own allies, resulting in chaos and unnecessary casualties. Another chimed in, describing a mission that ended in disaster when human forces disregarded crucial intelligence reports, believing they could improvise their way to victory. These stories fueled the notion that humanity was not to be taken seriously in matters of warfare. As these conversations unfolded, the contrast between human military conduct and that of the advanced alien civilizations became increasingly pronounced. The coalition of alien species had long prided itself on its technological superiority and strategic prowess. Their tactics were characterized by precision and coordination, often relying on sophisticated technologies that humans had yet to master. The aliens employed established military doctrines that had evolved over generations, allowing them to achieve remarkable victories against formidable foes. In stark contrast, human approaches to warfare often seemed disorganized and chaotic, with an emphasis on improvisation rather than meticulous planning. Amidst these discussions, there was an undercurrent of disbelief that humanity could ever pose a genuine threat. While the coalition acknowledged humans' resourcefulness and ingenuity, they fundamentally underestimated their ability to conduct warfare effectively. The prevailing sentiment was that any human involvement in military operations would be a liability rather than an asset. This perspective persisted even as tensions escalated in the galaxy, culminating in the emergence of a formidable new enemy. In their deliberations, the coalition leaders could not overlook humanity's track record. They examined key historical battles from human history, pointing to instances where human forces had exhibited poor communication and coordination, leading to severe losses. The tales of mismanaged engagements echoed throughout the council chambers, reinforcing the stereotype of humans as reckless warriors. The aliens, with their advanced understanding of strategy and technology, found it difficult to fathom that such an inexperienced species could be entrusted with serious military operations. As the threat from the new enemy loomed closer, the coalition leaders faced an uncomfortable dilemma. They knew they needed to bolster their ranks, yet they were hesitant to include humans in their military plans. Despite their reservations, desperation began to set in. The enemy was relentless, and the coalition's forces were stretched thin. Eventually, the leaders reluctantly agreed that they had no choice but to call on humanity for assistance, even if they did so with a heavy heart and lingering doubts. In a tense atmosphere, the message was sent to Earth, requesting help. The alien leaders prepared for the inevitable backlash of relying on a species they viewed as inferior. They believed that they were extending a lifeline to humanity, but in reality, they saw it as a desperate measure. Their expectation was that humanity would provide minimal support, barely making a dent in the mounting threat. As Earth's leaders received the call for assistance, they faced their own challenges. Humanity had been eager to prove itself, yet they were acutely aware of the expectations set by the coalition. The initial skepticism from the aliens weighed heavily on their minds. While they wanted to display strength and capability, there was a palpable fear that their efforts would not be enough to change the narrative that had formed around them. Despite these doubts, humanity's resolve remained unshaken. Leaders on Earth viewed this as an opportunity to showcase their strengths, believing that they could defy expectations. The military assembled a fleet composed of their best and brightest, ready to demonstrate that they could rise to the occasion despite their reputation. However, the fleet chosen for this mission was not the most advanced. Instead, it was a collection of ships that had seen better days, older technology that had been sidelined in favor of newer advancements. As preparations unfolded, the human commanders understood the challenge ahead. They recognized the need to change the prevailing narrative surrounding their capabilities. With each passing moment, they became increasingly determined to demonstrate that they were more than the sum of their past mistakes. They viewed this as a chance to redefine their identity within the galaxy, proving that humanity could not only fight but could do so effectively. The contrast between the Coalition's expectations and humanity's ambitions set the stage for what was to come. While the aliens were bracing for mediocrity, the humans were ready to shatter the stereotypes that had confined them. The human fleet prepared to engage in combat with the understanding that their actions would speak volumes about their capabilities. This battle would be more than a mere engagement, it would be a chance to rewrite history and show the galaxy that humanity could be a formidable force despite its past failures. As the fleets readied themselves for departure, both sides faced their own doubts. The Coalition's leaders clung to their preconceived notions about human warfare, unsure of what to expect from this newly enlisted ally. Meanwhile, humanity stood on the brink of transformation, poised to embrace a challenge that would either solidify their status as a legitimate power or reinforce the stereotypes that had plagued them. The stage was set for a clash of expectations and realities. Would humanity rise to the occasion, or would the galaxy's long-held beliefs about their ineptitude in warfare prove to be accurate? As the Coalition prepared for the impending conflict, a quiet tension filled the air, a tension that would ultimately define the course of their shared destiny. The impending battle would be a crucible, one that would test the resolve of both humans and aliens, challenging their perceptions and reshaping their understanding of strength and unity. The galaxy was about to witness whether humans were truly as awful at war as many believed, or if they could redefine what it meant to be a warrior. As the galaxy faced an imminent threat from a ruthless new enemy, the coalition of alien civilizations began to realize that their earlier tactics were no longer sufficient. The enemy had demonstrated overwhelming strength, decimating entire fleets and leaving devastation in its wake. Coalition leaders, once skeptical of humanity's military capabilities, found themselves in a precarious situation as they sought assistance from the very species they had previously dismissed. Desperation hung heavy in the council chambers as leaders from various alien factions convened to discuss their options. Tensions were high, and the mood was grim. The alien representatives debated the merits of calling upon humanity for help, weighing the potential benefits against their long-standing belief that humans were ill-suited for warfare. However, the impending threat left them with few alternatives. Despite their reservations, the coalition resolved to extend an invitation to Earth, hoping that the infusion of human resources might bolster their defenses. The call for assistance was sent across the stars, a lifeline thrown to humanity in their time of need. The message conveyed the seriousness of the situation, emphasizing the urgency of the coalition's plight. Yet, underlying this appeal was an unspoken skepticism: could these so-called awful warriors truly make a difference? The coalition leaders prepared for the worst, anticipating that humanity's involvement might yield minimal results at best. On Earth, the response to the coalition's call was swift. Humanity's leaders recognized the weight of the request and understood the stakes involved. They were eager to prove themselves, ready to show the galaxy that they could rise to the occasion. However, there was an undercurrent of anxiety. They knew the coalition's perceptions of them and were keenly aware of the expectations that would be placed upon them. As Earth assembled its fleet, the composition reflected both ambition and caution. The ships selected for the mission were not the most advanced in humanity's arsenal, rather, they were older vessels, some of which had been sidelined in favor of newer technology. This reserve fleet was a testament to humanity's willingness to contribute, even when they could not field their best resources. The leaders aimed to demonstrate their resolve, albeit with a fleet that was far from pristine. As preparations unfolded, the human commanders felt the weight of their mission. They knew that their actions in the upcoming conflict would either reaffirm or challenge the long-held beliefs about their capabilities. There was a palpable determination to change the narrative, to show that humanity could be a formidable force despite their reputation as awful warriors. The alien coalition, while begrudgingly accepting human assistance, was rife with doubt. Meetings among the leaders were filled with discussions of how to integrate the humans into their military operations. Many voiced their concerns about human unpredictability, recalling past incidents where humans had acted recklessly in battle. The prevailing sentiment among coalition leaders was that humanity's involvement was a last resort, a desperate measure rather than a genuine partnership. The coalition leaders emphasized the importance of sticking to their established tactics, relying on their advanced technology and years of military experience. They intended to maintain control over the operation, viewing humanity as an auxiliary force rather than a key player. This hierarchy underscored the coalition's lingering doubts about human effectiveness. They expected little from their new allies, convinced that humans would only hinder their efforts in the field. Despite the skepticism, the human fleet prepared for deployment with an unyielding resolve. As they journeyed to the front lines, a sense of camaraderie began to develop among the crews. They understood the importance of their mission and the need to perform well under pressure. The human commanders encouraged their troops, emphasizing that their unorthodox approach might be the very asset needed to disrupt the enemy's plans. Upon arrival at the battlefield, the human fleet joined the coalition's forces, but the atmosphere was charged with tension. Alien leaders briefed their human counterparts on the enemy's tactics and strategies, detailing the devastating losses they had suffered in previous encounters. The coalition expressed their expectations clearly, urging the humans to adhere to their protocols and follow established military doctrine. The first encounter with the enemy loomed on the horizon. As the coalition prepared to engage, human commanders closely monitored the alien strategies, taking mental notes of their formations and approaches. There was a palpable sense of urgency as the aliens implemented their battle plans, launching the initial wave of attacks against the enemy. When the battle began, chaos erupted. The coalition's initial maneuvers quickly devolved into disorder as the enemy countered with surprising ferocity. The well-laid plans that the coalition had relied upon began to unravel. Miscommunications and unexpected enemy tactics led to confusion among the ranks, with many alien ships struggling to maintain their formations. Amidst the chaos, the human fleet found itself in a unique position. Drawing on their history of improvisation, they adapted quickly to the evolving battlefield. While the coalition struggled to regain control, the humans embraced their unpredictable nature, exploiting gaps in the enemy's defense and launching surprise attacks that caught the enemy off guard. As the first skirmish unfolded, it became clear that humanity's approach, while unconventional, had merit. Despite being considered awful at war, the humans showcased an ability to think on their feet and adjust their tactics in real time. The initial doubts of the coalition began to fade, replaced by a sense of astonishment as the human fleet executed maneuvers that yielded unexpected results. However, the coalition leaders were still hesitant to fully embrace the human strategies. They grappled with their preconceived notions, struggling to reconcile the effectiveness of the humans' improvisation with their long-held beliefs about traditional military tactics. This internal conflict created an undercurrent of tension among the coalition, as they were forced to confront the reality that their initial assessments of humanity might have been misguided. As the engagement progressed, the coalition began to see the potential in human tactics, but the skepticism persisted. Many alien leaders remained reluctant to acknowledge the evolving dynamics on the battlefield, clinging to their established doctrines even as the tide began to shift. However, the humans' success in leveraging their unpredictability forced the coalition to reconsider their rigid strategies. In the midst of the battle, the coalition and human forces started to communicate more effectively, sharing information and adapting their approaches in real time. The initial chaos began to evolve into a coordinated effort, blending the strengths of both species in a way that had not been anticipated. As the battle raged on, a newfound synergy began to develop between the humans and the coalition. The humans were no longer seen as mere auxiliaries but rather as partners capable of contributing meaningfully to the fight. The cooperation forged on the battlefield began to break down barriers, transforming skepticism into respect as both sides recognized the value of their alliance. With the enemy on the retreat, the coalition leaders could hardly believe their eyes. Humanity, once thought to be a liability, had proven itself an invaluable ally in their time of need. What began as a reluctant alliance had evolved into a formidable partnership, one that challenged the stereotypes that had defined human capabilities. As the dust settled and the initial battle came to an end, the coalition leaders gathered to assess their performance. They acknowledged that their initial perceptions of humanity had been flawed. The humans had shown that, despite their reputation, they possessed unique strengths that could be leveraged in combat. This victory would not only change the course of the war but also redefine the relationship between the coalition and humanity. As they prepared for future engagements, the coalition understood that they would need to embrace humanity's unpredictable nature, recognizing that it could be a source of strength in the ongoing conflict. The emerging partnership promised a new era, one defined by collaboration and shared objectives. Together, they would face the challenges ahead, united by a newfound respect that transcended species and stereotypes. The galaxy would soon learn that humans, while perceived as awful at war, had the potential to rise above expectations and redefine what it meant to be a warrior. As the coalition forces regrouped after their initial encounter with the enemy, a palpable tension hung in the air. While the battle had ended in a tentative victory, the underlying fractures within the coalition became increasingly apparent. The recent conflict had revealed both the strengths and weaknesses of their newly formed alliance with humanity, leading to a mix of hope and frustration among the alien leaders. Alien commanders gathered to discuss the outcomes of the battle, and while they acknowledged the unexpected successes attributed to the human fleet, they were equally vocal about their doubts. The Clather commander, still holding on to his skepticism, argued that the humans' chaotic tactics could not be relied upon in future engagements. He insisted that the coalition's traditional strategies were superior and called for a return to established protocols. His words resonated with several leaders who remained unconvinced that humans could consistently contribute to military success. Despite the criticism, there were others who had witnessed the unique adaptability of the human forces firsthand. They argued that the success achieved during the battle was not merely a stroke of luck but a testament to humanity's resilience and creativity. This faction within the coalition began to advocate for a more integrated approach, urging their fellow leaders to consider the potential benefits of blending human tactics with their own. As discussions progressed, it became clear that a rift was forming within the coalition. Some leaders believed that embracing the human approach could yield significant advantages, while others remained entrenched in their traditional beliefs. This division highlighted the growing tension, as differing opinions on strategy began to threaten the unity of the coalition itself. Meanwhile, human commanders sensed the shifting dynamics among their allies. They were keenly aware of the skepticism still held by many alien leaders. Yet, they remained resolute in their commitment to contribute meaningfully to the war effort. The human fleet had demonstrated its capability to think outside the box, and the commanders were determined to continue proving their worth. In an effort to foster collaboration, the human commanders proposed a series of joint training exercises designed to bridge the gap between traditional tactics and human improvisation. They believed that through practice, both sides could learn from one another and develop a more cohesive strategy for future engagements. The proposal was met with mixed reactions, as some coalition leaders were eager to participate, while others remained hesitant. Despite the reservations, the coalition ultimately agreed to the training exercises, recognizing the necessity of building camaraderie among their forces. They began to understand that facing the enemy together would require a level of trust that had not yet been established. The human commanders approached the exercises with enthusiasm, eager to showcase their tactics and demonstrate how they could complement the coalition's strengths. As the joint exercises commenced, the coalition forces found themselves navigating unfamiliar territory. The humans employed unconventional strategies that often caught their alien allies off guard. While the coalition had relied on precision and discipline, the humans thrived on unpredictability and adaptability. This divergence in approach led to initial confusion, but it also created opportunities for learning and growth. Throughout the exercises, some coalition leaders struggled to adapt to the humans' improvisational methods. Their frustration mounted as the simulations revealed the stark differences in approach. However, as the training progressed, a few leaders began to see the value in the humans' tactics, recognizing that unpredictability could be an asset in battle. These leaders started to advocate for a more open-minded perspective on humanity's capabilities. As the coalition forces trained together, a newfound sense of camaraderie began to emerge. Human and alien soldiers interacted, sharing experiences and strategies. This exchange of ideas fostered a mutual respect that had been lacking in previous interactions. The humans proved to be quick learners, absorbing lessons from their alien counterparts while also teaching them the art of adaptability in warfare. With each passing exercise, the coalition began to experience a shift in their collective mindset. They started to appreciate the creativity and resourcefulness that humans brought to the battlefield. The success of the joint training exercises reinforced the idea that cooperation could yield results that neither side could achieve alone. This growing partnership laid the groundwork for a more cohesive strategy against the enemy. However, the underlying tension between those who embraced the human tactics and those who clung to tradition continued to simmer. The coalition leaders found themselves at a crossroads, forced to confront their biases and preconceptions about warfare. The time for rigid adherence to established doctrines was coming to an end, and they needed to decide whether to embrace a new way of thinking. As the enemy threat loomed larger, the coalition understood that their survival depended on their ability to adapt. The human fleet had proven its worth in previous encounters, and the lessons learned during training could not be ignored. It was becoming increasingly clear that the collaboration between humans and aliens would define their approach to future engagements. The turning point came during one of the final training exercises. In a simulated battle scenario, the coalition forces faced an enemy modeled after their real adversaries. The human commanders employed their unconventional tactics, utilizing rapid movements and surprise flanking maneuvers. The coalition forces, initially hesitant, began to follow the humans' lead, allowing the unpredictability to drive their strategy. As the simulation unfolded, the coalition experienced a remarkable transformation. The previously rigid tactics began to blend seamlessly with human creativity, leading to a decisive victory in the exercise. This success resonated deeply within the coalition, instilling a sense of hope and confidence that had been missing before. The human commanders took this opportunity to emphasize the importance of maintaining this newfound synergy in the face of the actual enemy. They encouraged the coalition leaders to embrace adaptability as a core principle of their strategy, emphasizing that victory would depend on their ability to outmaneuver and outthink their opponents. The coalition leaders, now acknowledging the effectiveness of their collaboration, began to shift their perspectives. They understood that the path forward would require a departure from tradition and an openness to new ideas. The alliance had proven itself resilient, and together, they could confront the challenges that lay ahead. As they prepared for the impending conflict, the coalition leaders resolved to embrace the lessons learned during their training exercises. They recognized that humanity's unpredictable nature could become an integral part of their strategy, enabling them to approach the war with a newfound confidence. In the aftermath of the exercises, a sense of unity permeated the coalition. The initial skepticism had given way to a collaborative spirit, one that promised to reshape their approach to warfare. The journey had not been without its challenges, but the alliance had emerged stronger. Together, they would confront the enemy threat head-on, armed with the understanding that their diverse approaches could create a formidable force. The coalition had begun to recognize that their partnership with humanity was not merely a necessity, it was an opportunity to redefine what it meant to be strong in warfare. The galaxy would soon witness the results of this newfound unity, as humans and aliens joined forces to combat the looming threat. As the coalition forces prepared for the next major engagement against the enemy, the unity forged between humans and aliens continued to evolve. The recent training exercises had laid a solid foundation for cooperation, revealing the strengths that each side brought to the alliance. With the lessons learned fresh in their minds, both humans and aliens were ready to face the impending threat head-on. The enemy, emboldened by previous successes, had begun to regroup and re-strategize. Coalition intelligence reports indicated that they were planning a large-scale offensive aimed at a critical resource hub vital to both the coalition and human supply lines. Recognizing the urgency of the situation, the coalition leaders convened to develop a comprehensive strategy that would leverage their combined strengths. During these discussions, the coalition leaders reaffirmed their commitment to integrate human tactics into their overall battle plan. The coalition's military strategist acknowledged the unpredictability that the humans had demonstrated and urged everyone to embrace this new approach. He suggested that they utilize a strategy that combined the coalition's traditional formations with the humans' guerrilla tactics, allowing them to remain fluid on the battlefield while maintaining a cohesive front. As the coalition finalized their battle plan, they established a dual approach, a frontal assault by the main coalition forces to draw the enemy's attention, while the human fleet executed flanking maneuvers designed to disrupt supply lines and command structures. This tactic aimed to exploit the element of surprise and create chaos within the enemy ranks, leveraging the adaptability that the humans had shown in previous encounters. The coalition leaders felt a renewed sense of confidence as they prepared for the operation. They understood that their combined forces had the potential to turn the tide against the enemy. Humans, once seen as liabilities, were now regarded as essential partners, and this shift in perspective was palpable among the commanders. On the day of the operation, as the coalition and human fleets took their positions, there was a charged atmosphere among the troops. The soldiers understood the stakes involved, failure was not an option. The memories of past battles still haunted the coalition leaders, but they now felt empowered by their alliance with humanity. The training they had undergone together had fostered a sense of camaraderie that transcended their differences, uniting them in purpose. As the battle commenced, the coalition forces engaged the enemy directly, their advanced weaponry and coordinated maneuvers initially proving effective. The humans, following their assigned strategy, executed their flanking maneuvers with precision. The initial phase of the battle unfolded according to plan, but soon the enemy began to adapt, deploying countermeasures that threatened to overwhelm the coalition forces. Recognizing the shift in momentum, the human commanders quickly adjusted their tactics. They communicated in real time, relaying information back and forth between the human fleet and coalition leaders. The flexibility that had characterized their earlier successes came into play as they employed a series of unexpected feints and diversions to keep the enemy off balance. The coalition leaders watched in awe as the human fleet maneuvered with a surprising level of coordination. Their previous skepticism began to dissipate as they witnessed firsthand the effectiveness of humanity's unconventional tactics. The humans exploited gaps in the enemy's defenses, launching sudden attacks that caught the adversary off guard. The coalition forces, inspired by the human fleet's boldness, started to adopt a more fluid approach, embracing the idea that adaptability could be a decisive factor in the conflict. As the battle progressed, the tide began to shift in favor of the coalition. The enemy, once confident in their strength, found themselves reeling from the combined assaults. The human fleet's unpredictability proved to be a significant advantage, creating openings that the coalition forces were able to exploit effectively. The coordinated attacks disrupted the enemy's command structure, causing confusion and disarray within their ranks. In the midst of the chaos, the coalition leaders recognized that they were witnessing a transformation. What had begun as a reluctant alliance was evolving into a formidable fighting force. The synergy between human adaptability and alien precision began to create a powerful dynamic that the enemy had not anticipated. The coalition commanders rallied their troops, urging them to press the advantage, knowing that victory was within their grasp. As the enemy's resolve weakened, the coalition capitalized on their disarray. The frontline forces pushed forward with renewed vigor, while the human fleet continued to flank and disrupt enemy supply lines. The coordinated assault became a symphony of strategy and innovation, blending the strengths of both species into a cohesive unit. The enemy forces began to falter, their once unstoppable advance grinding to a halt. With the coalition's momentum growing, the leaders felt a surge of hope. The previous doubts that had permeated their discussions were replaced with a burgeoning confidence in their strategy. They realized that they had not only adapted their tactics but had also forged a new identity as a united front against a common foe. The lessons learned through their collaboration had led to a deeper understanding of what could be achieved when different species combined their strengths. As the battle reached its climax, the coalition forces launched a final, decisive push against the enemy. The humans' unconventional strategies, coupled with the coalition's superior technology and discipline, proved to be the winning formula. The enemy's lines crumbled under the combined assault, their forces disintegrating in the face of an alliance that had once seemed improbable. In the aftermath of the engagement, the coalition leaders gathered to assess the results. They celebrated their hard-won victory, acknowledging the significant role that humanity had played in turning the tide of the battle. The initial skepticism that had marked their perceptions of humans had transformed into a deep respect for their capabilities. This victory marked a pivotal moment in the coalition's history. It established humanity not merely as allies but as invaluable partners capable of redefining the course of the conflict. The lessons learned in this engagement would shape their approach to future battles, encouraging the coalition to embrace adaptability and creativity in their strategies. As the coalition forces regrouped and prepared for the next phase of the war, the leaders recognized that their newfound partnership with humanity had become a cornerstone of their collective strength. They understood that the war was not yet over, but they faced the future with renewed confidence. The alliance had proven that together, they could overcome even the most daunting challenges. Moving forward, the coalition vowed to continue learning from one another, fostering a spirit of collaboration that would drive them to future victories. They understood that the strength of their alliance lay not only in their combined military might but also in the willingness to embrace diversity and adaptability as core principles of their shared purpose. As they faced the challenges ahead, they knew that they would do so united, confident in the knowledge that they had forged an alliance capable of reshaping the galaxy. In the aftermath of their decisive victory, the coalition leaders convened to reflect on the battle and the evolving partnership between humans and aliens. What had begun as a reluctant alliance based on necessity had transformed into a powerful coalition, one that showcased the strengths of both species. The war against the formidable enemy was far from over, but the coalition had gained momentum and confidence, thanks in large part to the contributions of the human fleet. The atmosphere in the council chambers was markedly different from previous meetings. Where skepticism had once prevailed, a sense of unity and purpose now filled the room. Coalition leaders exchanged nods of respect, acknowledging the pivotal role humanity had played in their recent success. The Clather commander, once the most vocal critic of human involvement, now stood before the assembly to express his admiration for their adaptability and innovative tactics. His acknowledgement resonated deeply, signaling a shift in the coalition's perception of humanity. As discussions turned to their next steps, the leaders recognized the importance of maintaining the momentum gained from their recent victory. They understood that the enemy would regroup and launch further offensives, and it was crucial to prepare accordingly. The coalition's military strategists emphasized the need for continued collaboration between human and alien forces, suggesting that they further integrate their tactics and strategies. This proposal sparked a vigorous debate, but ultimately, the consensus leaned toward embracing the hybrid approach that had proven effective. The coalition began to draft a comprehensive plan that would allow them to capitalize on their newfound unity. They proposed a series of joint operations that would combine the strengths of both species, allowing them to adapt and respond dynamically to the enemy's tactics. The plan emphasized the importance of flexibility and creativity, encouraging both humans and aliens to contribute their unique perspectives to the overarching strategy. As preparations for the next campaign took shape, a sense of excitement filled the air. Humans and aliens worked side by side, sharing knowledge and techniques, fostering a spirit of camaraderie that had been lacking in earlier interactions. The human fleet, once viewed with skepticism, was now regarded as an essential component of the coalition's military operations. The soldiers from both sides began to build personal connections, learning from one another and appreciating the diverse skills each brought to the table. The coalition also recognized the importance of addressing the lingering prejudices that had colored their perceptions of humanity. Leaders initiated discussions about the value of diversity in warfare, emphasizing that every species had something unique to offer. By fostering an environment of respect and open-mindedness, they aimed to eliminate the biases that had threatened to undermine their alliance. These conversations proved to be pivotal, helping to solidify the bond between humans and aliens and establishing a foundation for lasting collaboration. In parallel with their military preparations, the coalition began to focus on the humanitarian aspects of their campaign. The war had taken a toll on countless civilian populations, and the leaders understood the necessity of protecting innocent lives. They committed to implementing safe zones and providing aid to those affected by the conflict. The human fleet's emphasis on safeguarding civilians resonated deeply with the coalition's values, reinforcing the moral imperative behind their actions. As they moved forward, the coalition leaders began to craft a narrative around their alliance. They sought to share their experiences with the galaxy at large, showcasing the successful integration of human tactics and the strength of cooperation. Their goal was to inspire other civilizations to consider the benefits of collaboration, fostering a broader understanding of what could be achieved through unity. They believed that their alliance could serve as a model for future partnerships across the galaxy. As the next campaign approached, the coalition leaders felt a renewed sense of purpose. They had transformed their initial doubts into a powerful alliance, one that could stand against any threat. The humans had proven their mettle, and the coalition was now committed to fighting alongside them as equals. The spirit of collaboration had taken root, paving the way for a more dynamic and adaptable approach to warfare. When the time came for the coalition to confront the enemy once more, they did so with confidence. The coalition forces launched their offensive, employing the hybrid tactics developed through their partnership. The combination of human ingenuity and alien technology created a formidable force on the battlefield. As the battle unfolded, the coalition found success in their strategy, successfully countering the enemy's advances and pushing them back. The victory in this campaign served to solidify the alliance even further. Both sides emerged from the battle with a deeper understanding of one another, acknowledging that their partnership had made them stronger. The humans, once viewed as inexperienced, had proven themselves as equals, contributing significantly to the coalition's successes. In the aftermath, the coalition leaders gathered to celebrate their achievements and reflect on the lessons learned. They acknowledged that their perceptions had changed fundamentally and that the partnership with humanity had reshaped their understanding of strength and warfare. The coalition understood that they were no longer just a collection of alien species, they were a unified force capable of overcoming great challenges through cooperation. With the war still ongoing, the coalition leaders resolved to continue building on their alliance. They knew that the path ahead would not be without difficulties, but they faced it with renewed confidence. The commitment to collaboration would guide their actions, ensuring that they would adapt and innovate in the face of adversity. The coalition had learned that embracing diversity and leveraging the strengths of each member would be crucial to their success. As they prepared for the next phases of the war, the coalition leaders set their sights on the future. They envisioned a galaxy where partnerships could thrive, where different species could come together to confront common threats. The experience of working alongside humanity had transformed their perspective, and they were determined to carry these lessons forward. In the end, the coalition emerged from the war not only victorious but also transformed. The once derided human fleet had become a symbol of resilience and adaptability, demonstrating that even those perceived as awful at war could rise to the occasion. Together, humans and aliens had forged an alliance that would endure, one that transcended preconceived notions and established a new standard for cooperation in the galaxy. As the galaxy continued to evolve, the coalition leaders understood that their partnership with humanity was just the beginning. The strength of their alliance would echo through the stars, inspiring future generations to embrace diversity and collaboration as the keys to overcoming challenges. With this resolve, they set forth into an uncertain future, confident in the knowledge that united, they could face any adversity that lay ahead. The legacy of their alliance would serve as a beacon of hope for all, proving that even the most unlikely partners could achieve greatness together.